Some of Trump's detractors are really playing into his hands right now, and he just continues to needle them with photos of himself depicted as Jesus or as Jesus's right-hand man. Joining me live now is Democrat strategist Jim Kessler. Jim, he continues to really poke fun at this, retweeting something today or reposting something today, but it seems to be really annoying some of his own side, the Republicans.
Yeah, so I think like every once in a while, Donald Trump does something that even his Republican supporters say, like, this has gone too far. And I think the depicting himself as Jesus Christ and attacking the Pope, who is adored in the United States, particularly among Catholics, like he's an American Pope. He's from Chicago. He's a baseball fan, like he's everything. And one of the reasons why Donald Trump did very well in the 2024 elections is he did better among Catholic voters than almost any Republican has done since Ronald Reagan. So, I think some of them are feeling like, okay, you're thumbing your nose at us, and it's not going over well.
Is it going to hurt him in the end, though?
Well, I guess what does it mean to hurt him? Because he's not running for re-election ever again.
The midterms.
And you're right. So the midterms look bleak, no matter what. Okay. Even if he is Jesus, the midterms look bleak for him. Almost every recent poll has shown voters moving further away from Republicans in the last 7 weeks since the Iran war. So like what started out as a bad picture is now a dismal picture. And there's not a ton of time to repair that. The midterms are going to be awful.
You're talking about swing voters there because I haven't seen him lose a lot of skin from, rusted on Republicans. There is, I agree with you that there is a downward trend in terms of the support for the way he's dealing with this war, but it hasn't fallen off a cliff, has it?
It hasn't. And the reason is this. There's about 40% of American voters that are going to stick with him no matter what. There's another maybe 45% who have given up on him no matter what and are going to vote Democrat. And the rest is going to be that 15% somewhere in the middle. And the question is, how many of them are going to vote Democratic in the midterms? And also, how many of his supporters just simply are not going to show up? They're not motivated. And those are the factors that in midterm elections, when turnout is lower than presidential elections, where big sweeps can happen. And this is shaping up as one of those times. So, it depends on who shows up and how they vote.
I was pretty interested to see the fall of Eric Swalwell. I mean, this was a guy who wanted to run for the governor of California. A lot of Democrats support him. He had the support of left-leaning billionaires. Even had, someone on one of the commentators from the US on the other day, who's also a Democrat, talking about how the whispers around Eric Swalwell have been there for quite some time. Nothing criminal, but the way he treated women. How and why did the Democrats put up with such an unsavory character for so long?
Yeah, so you're hearing about the whispers now, and I'll just be honest with you, I never heard the whispers myself, but I worked in Congress for a long time, and there was always times where it's like, this is a bad office for women. Like, there's always been some of that. And the truth is that usually the women know which are the bad offices and the men on Capitol Hill don't. Like, that whisper is usually among women warning other women, like, don't work there. And so It gets cabined off in a way. Now, I think with Eric Swalwell, there was enough of it that, more than the average Capitol Hill staffer and Capitol Hill elected official heard about it. But, I think they just thought, like, okay, well, he's having affairs. He's not doing anything that's illicit. But, I've just said one other thing about this, Laura. There are a lot of politicians, particularly in Washington, that are addicted to media and attention and social media. And Eric Swalwell was one of them. And the more you're addicted to this stuff, a lot of times the more you just feel like, well, I'm impervious to bad behavior. And I just think he's a poster child of a guy who fell in love with his own image and his own stardom.
It totally was. But I also worry about the Democrats, men and women that surrounded him, perhaps more the men who perhaps heard whispers of this and didn't say anything. Does that bother you?
It does bother me. And, like, I think there's a sort of human nature, which is like you see what you want to see. And he was a bit of a star, so you kind of ignored it. But, I think there's going to be some collateral damage there. And look, this happens on the Republican side too. And I think we're going to have another moment in US politics where bad behavior by elected men in office is going to become a big issue.